Yes, I am eating ice cream with a fork right now. Please don't judge me. I was just too lazy to go downstairs and get a spoon. So here we are, forking it up. And yes, I am wearing a Hair and Old shirt. I know sometimes Walmart gets a bad reputation and a lot of people talk shit about it, myself included. But every once in a while, they have 90s nostalgia. Speaking of 90s nostalgia, Rugrats premiered in 1991. Tommy Pickles is 30 years old. You know who else is 30? Me. 3 days ago, I turned 30. And I'll be honest, it wasn't the most pleasant birthday of my life. Not because it had anything to do with me turning 30. No, I had to put $765 into new brakes on my car. That was very painful. I'm gonna eat those emotions right now. But I mean, on the plus side, my car stops, which is highly recommended that you have a car that stops. It's really much safer for you and everybody else on the road. Anyway, the past couple of days since turning 30, I've been thinking a lot about how I just turned this magical number, the big 30. In the past few days, I've also had a lot of friends asking me if I'm okay. I mean, yeah. Why shouldn't I be? I guess some of my friends who are turning 30 this year are kind of terrified of turning 30 for some reason. Or some of my friends who've already turned 30 found it to be this, like, emotionally draining experience. I also have a lot of friends who have either recently turned to 30 or they're about to turn 30 this year. And they keep saying the same thing. Oh, I'm so old. Oh, I'm just getting so old. It's like this repeated thing. They're just talking about how they're getting old. And I'll be honest, I just can't relate. I don't feel old. Because I'm not. Nobody who's 30 is old. I'm not afraid of being 30. I don't think there's anything about being 30 that should scare me. I don't think my 30th birthday or turning 30 is a big deal. I think a lot of my friends have this negative thought process or this negative idea that 30 is somehow an end of something. But I don't feel like it's an end. I mean, yeah, I guess it is technically the end of your 20s, but I don't think that should mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. And you know what? I get it. Society kind of ingrains it in our heads. We graduate high school at 18 and we go off to college and we get our shiny diploma. And then somewhere between 22 and 25, we get a job and we start our career. And then somewhere between 25 and 29, we buy a house and get married and have a fucking kid. And oh my god, you have just achieved the American dream! You get a fucking gold star, motherfucker. I mean, that's what we're supposed to want, right? I don't. I think it's kind of fucking bullshit. And I think that whole societal norm wrapped around the American dream is why so many of my friends are afraid of turning 30. Because they don't have a career yet. They haven't bought a house. They haven't started a family or found a significant other. Some of them just don't have their fucking shit together. I know I certainly fucking don't. And society is over here trying to make us believe that by 30, you have to have your shit together. And the fact that I've never felt strongly about the American dream is probably why I don't have any negative thoughts about turning 30. If anything, I feel the opposite. I feel optimistic about turning 30. I'm excited for them. I look at turning 30 as a sort of beginning. And I'll be honest, I didn't always think this way. This was a thought process that evolved over the past decade of my life. 18-year-old me thought she was gonna get a bachelor's degree. 22-year-old me thought she was going to be a famous illustrator when she finished that bachelor's degree. 24-year-old me thought that she was gonna be living in a van by 30 and rocking that solo van life, traveling across the country. Fun story. When I was 24, I found an article online. It was probably some BuzzFeed bullshit article about the 30 things you should do before turning 30. And it was a list of the typical bucket list shit. Go skydiving, travel abroad, you know, shit like that. And looking back at it, everything on that list cost money. Like, a lot of money. Money that the average 20-something who just got out of college with crippling student debt is not going to be able to afford. But also, everything on that list was something that you didn't need to be 20 to do. But 24-year-old me was inspired. She was inspired and ignorant and a little scared. She didn't think about the reality of that. She said, well, fuck. I've only got 6 years left to live out my best life. I better start doing fun shit now before my 20s are over. So I made up my own little list of 30 things that I want to do before I turned 30. And some of the things on that list included traveling abroad, my super cliche goal of writing a novel, renovating that van for van life. The other 27 things on that list, I couldn't fucking tell you. I don't fucking remember. What was on the list wasn't really important, though. It's the fact that I believed this absurd idea that the only way I will ever live a happy, fulfilled life is that if I do all these things in my 20s. And I don't know why I ever thought that way. I don't know what made me believe you have to experience life to its fullest in your 20s. Needless to say, I spent the next 6 years of my life not doing anything on that list. Instead, I spent the past 6 years of my life just trying to figure life out. And I failed a lot. I still haven't finished my bachelor's degree. I never found a career that inspires me that I want to spend the rest of my life doing. Dude, I'm 30 and I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I haven't started a family and quite frankly, I don't really plan on doing that. I personally enjoy the single life. A lot. Like, men are just disgusting. And you know, the cherry on top, I currently live in my mother's attic right now. It's the simple things, really. By all accounts, most people would look at my life right now and think that I am an absolute fucking failure. Because what have I accomplished at 30 years old? Honestly, fucking nothing. By societal norms, I am a complete and total failure. But I'm not upset about it. I just don't give a fuck. Because I'm only 30. Yeah. 24-year-old me would probably look at me now and be really disappointed. But 24-year-old me was ignorant and kind of stupid. 30-year-old me looks back at 24-year-old me and thinks, damn, you got pretty far from where you were at 24. And I mean, that really says a lot. You know, I wasn't living in my mother's attic at 24, but I am at 30. Telling you, it's the simple things in life. You see, 24-year-old me was working part-time at a grocery store making $8 an hour. 24-year-old me hadn't bought her first car yet, and she was taking the bus everywhere. 24-year-old me didn't have the space to be creative and make art and be the artist that I love being. 24-year-old me was getting into a relationship with a guy for 248,000 wrong reasons. That's a story for another time. 24-year-old me was burying herself in a black hole of credit card debt because she did not know how to money. 24-year-old me would have never been able to afford to fix her brakes for $765. 24-year-old me had her shit less together than I do now. And that's what matters most to me. At 30, I am farther in life than I was at 24. And I can only continue to do better and get further and find success. Because I am only 30 and I still have time to figure it out. Nothing ends at 30. Because there's nothing you haven't done in your 20s that you can't still do in your 30s or your 40s or your 50s. Society pressures us to believe we have to act a certain way once we hit 30. We have to be adults and do adult things. What the fuck does that even mean? I'm a huge Gabby Hanna fan. No, I don't care what you think about that. I love her poetry books. I love her music. I think she's funny. She's fun to watch. Sue me. I follow her on Twitter, of course. And the other day, she posted a picture of herself on Twitter. It's a really cute picture. Your typical selfie. And in this picture, she was wearing just her bra and her underwear. And there were people in the comments saying, "Oh my God, Gabby, you're 30 years old. You can't do that." What does 30 have to do with anything? What does her age have to do with anything? She is a consenting adult posting a picture of herself on the internet that she feels confident about. This was not a nude or a sexually explicit photo. It was a selfie. But because she's 30, she can't do that. I'm so tired of that mentality. We are technically adults at 18. That is the societal norm of no longer being a child. By legal government standards, you're a fucking adult. If you want to post pictures of yourself on the internet in your goddamn underwear, it should not matter if you're 18 or 30. All that should matter is that you are a consenting adult. And that doesn't just end with internet selfies. There is nothing that an 18-year-old can do that a 30-year-old can't. Society really makes us believe that there are things we have to stop doing once we hit 30, that there are things we can't start doing once we're 30. Society tells us we can't dye our hair funky colors, that we can't dress a certain way, that we can't buy certain things or do certain things because they're childish, because that's not what an adult is supposed to do, because we're adults and we're supposed to act like adults. It's all fucking bullshit. Here are just a few of the things that you can still do at 30 years old, regardless of what society or other assholes might tell you. I've said it before, and I'm gonna say it again. Turning 30 is not an end. So, to all of my friends out there who are turning 30 this year, you are gonna be okay. And for the love of God, stop saying that you're old, for fuck's sake, you are not old!